Our next speaker is Colin Gillespie, who's the president of Lego Education in North America. And he rode his bike here.
Hello. All right, we're all different heights here, so we're diverse learners. Yeah, I rode my bike here, and how cool that there's a new partnership with the President's Council on Fitness, and congrats to Sandbox on that. I'm a big believer in outside play, and I was in the cycling industry for a while, and I was there because it was healthy, because it was ecological, because it created community. And doesn't exercise do that in so many ways? So wow, that was fantastic. I really got energized by that announcement. The partners and folks we just heard from, what a great panel. I mean, I work for Lego Education. I'll talk more about that in a second. But I was like, oh my gosh, global. We're a global product. And I was thinking about what Jen said and some others. And then I said, okay, well, we know Lego bricks, right? That's a little bit universal, okay? So I said, okay, we have a universal truth of hands-on learning. That's gonna work. Phew! So I came up like, okay, our global product strategy is okay, and it actually is. We're in 40 countries as Lego Education. And then I liked what we talked about a little bit after that, which was, you have to have the right partners. You can start with this universal truth, like hands-on learning, minds-on learning, physical and digital creation, which are some of the things that are global for us. But after that, you need the partners to get there. And then the really solid thought leadership partnership like you'd have with Sandbox in order to give it veracity. We don't market to kids in Lego Education. We're marketing to schools and districts and municipalities and countries. So it's just another play. And then finally, there's something to me that if you're working for partnerships, think about missions. You have the same mission. And I know we talked a little bit about systems and processes and ROI, but if you can think about the return on investment on your mission together, like for us, it's enabling more students to succeed through physical and digital creation. I bet there's other folks who want to do that with us. So think a little bit about that as your connecting point, and then the money will follow, as well as everything else, reach and impact. So my name is Colin Gillespie, and I work for Lego Education. I've been president of that for about 3 years. We're in about 40 countries. Big Lego, the toy side, is in about 170 countries. So we're a smaller division, but we're dedicated to education. We actually got the idea for it about 35 years ago, and we noticed that teachers were using manipulatives in the classroom, using Lego bricks. And we said, well, we should organize a whole division around that. That sounds fantastic. So we've been in business as Lego Education just about 35 years. Want to say to start that I'm honored to be in front of such an inspiring group of people. The topics we're discussing today are truly dear to my heart, and maybe you can tell from the front end. But they resonate at the core also of what we are all about at Lego. I've been there for 16 years, so it's an honor not only to be with you, but also to be able to reflect on our message together. And a lot of you might not know what Lego Education is about. We actually offer learning solutions in schools, pre-K to 8th grade, humanities to STEM, STEAM, and then also heavily into 21st century skills that are necessary for folks to succeed in the future, especially our young people. And that's really one of the coolest things about our jobs, isn't it? That the most important asset in the world, I think, is our young people. And if we get to work on that, that's pretty cool. But what we're talking about here is playful learning practices and in your respective disciplines, and understanding that success in the real world requires critical thinking to deliver these multiple answers and diverse approaches. So what I like to say is I think actually play is a proven strategy to help cultivate the skills that are necessary for the future. But it's too often absent from the classroom. And although we are participating in after-school programs, family-funded pursuits, recess, and other places, it's important, actually, that plays inside the classroom in order to be effective. And we also know that a lot of outdoor space play and that kind of thing has actually been reduced over time for what would be called seat time in the classroom. And the question is, has this, and I'll just use the word, it's a little bit draconian, but banishment of play, has that given formal education more benefits, benefited more students, and improved learning outcomes? And it's not totally a rhetorical question or otherwise. Why would we have done it? Why do schools reduce the amount of recess they have? But it feels a little rhetorical when you realize that reading and math scores among 4th and 8th graders remain flat over the past 20 years. And there's still achievement gaps, especially when you think about diversity in all subjects: ethnicity, gender, geographic location, school quality, teacher quality, and parents' level of education. And I think we'd all agree these patterns need to change if we want to maximize the potential of our diverse students here and in other countries as well. But forward thinkers, like the folks in this room, they're talking about play, understand we can't use 20th century methods, pedagogical strategies which are based on an agrarian economy to grow the 21st century learners that we need to have for our future. We also need to think of them not just as learners, but as thinkers, as workers, and change makers, because that's what's going to be necessary. So yes, I'm an advocate, as some people in the room, of playful learning to improve the education for all students. No two students are alike, so it helps to be playful. Some are kinesthetic learners, some are social learners, some need learning environments that are better, because today so many are in instruction in a classroom in which it's not even their native tongue, certainly in our country and others. And others just don't thrive in a traditional rote-style classroom. But they have one thing in common: they all love to play. So that's the universal truth, maybe, in this room at least. And what makes play so attractive? Part of its appeal lies in the freedom it grants the player to think creatively, solve problems, make decisions, and take responsibility for those decisions. Most play also delivers on a clear goal to guide a player's actions. One could debate on the best type of play, but a lot of play does have a clear goal. They perform a role, they connect the dots, they capture the flag. And all these skills, especially in our team at LEGO Education, considered that the basic elements of play sound a lot like best pedagogical practices, with students exploring, experimenting, failing, and even mastering a challenge. So we like them to have a little bit of control over the task. And that's why we call working constructively with others in play systematic play. And you can see how with Lego bricks, it's not a purely fluid medium, it's bricks. But we should participate. If we're going to talk about the medium, pick up your 6 bricks, open it up. Interactive. And actually, I'll take slide number 2, please, if anybody's, oh, I'm the taker. There we go. All right. Okay. No mic when I stand out here, but what do you need to do? It's a serious mission, a play. Is to build a duck. That's it. Build a duck. I'll give you about a minute. I'll do a traditional countdown to create sweat on your back. Right at the end, there'll be a countdown, and then we'll further discuss the experiment. Build a duck. There will be a next task as well. Gold star. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, the next task is very important. Talk to the person next to you and qualify why this duck is a duck. Can it breathe? Can it fly? Why are the wings like that? Why aren't there wings? Is there a bill? Are there feet? Is it in water, underwater, or flying? Discuss. Okay, hold up your ducks. Hold up your ducks. I better find mine. Hold up your ducks. If anybody's in education, they'd understand that what I'm doing right now. I didn't even tell you to be quiet, but when you held up your ducks, you were quiet. So thanks so much for participating in the second experiment of the day. So what did we do? Did we build the exact same duck? Okay. all right? Did someone build the best duck? Can someone raise their hand if they built the worst duck? So one time I was doing this exercise, and someone came up, and the ducks, all the parts were still apart in their hand. They were just out. And they said, no, it's prepared for cooking now. So there is no perfect duck, but we had fun, and we played, but there's a lot more than that. You were engaged because you used this hands-on, this kinesthetic learning. That's effective. You were empowered because the solution was up to you. It was student-led in this little experiment. And then finally, you were inspired because you got to compare this to others. And I think some folks even used argumentative method to defend their duck design. And that's a skill in itself. So right there with 6 bricks, there was a catalyst, though, within the eyeballs. Okay? Not every learner can build with bricks. We need to create a jumping on point under the learning curve. The eyeballs created a sense of character in the duck, and you could build around it. It's just some examples of how this was a learning experience, a Lego learning experience. And we believe that we want students to explore learning and use creativity to find solutions when there are often multiple, maybe even 230 correct answers to a question. And that comes down to rethinking education, we believe, because this is how they'll learn and be inspired by creative thinking, these students. A study called Creativity in Crisis in 2011 revealed that at age 2, 98% of those folks tested at age 2 scored at a creative genius level. While at age 25, only 3% scored at that creative genius level. So one needs catalysts between those ages and then beyond in order to continue being creative geniuses, but frankly just inspiring and using play and creativity to be successful. So it's not about teaching or reciting facts. I don't think that's what we got from this learning experience. Rather, it's about making sure we're engaged in creative problem solving, and in many times together. And we know this has a direct link to an increase in learning and life success. There is research out there. Now, my own experience at Lego Education has helped me personally understand the importance of playful learning experiences. There's a spectrum of development and integration of both basic and advanced play. For example, preschool-age children. They're developing social and emotional skills. And these skills are actually, as many in the room know, are a predictor of a person's future academic success. So we have a kid called Build Me Emotions, where we ask learners with Duplo bricks with facial expressions. So sort of that catalyst I was talking about. And then they get to manipulate their own character that they build to participate in an exercise that allows them to recognize their feelings, share their emotions with peers. There's the sense of achievement from the build, all at the age of 3, 4 years old. So this is a time in their lives when they can really build self-reflection and empathy, very important. And as they grow, the cognitive and creative skills become imperative to future success. The ability to identify a problem and find a creative solution, like you did today, is more important now than ever before, because the jobs of the future are unknown. In fact, 64% of future jobs have not been created yet. So how do we best prepare youth for the job that is unknown? And I think we know some of the answers today. The opportunity to see young minds at work, older minds today, young at heart, but I also get the opportunity to observe in the classroom. And we have 2 robotics kits. Some people might know about WeDo, some people might know about Mindstorms. And this allows for coding as well as physical and digital creation. And through this, they can solve real-life problems and scenarios. And I think it's pretty amazing that this playful learning experience shows future innovators not just that they can be innovative, but that they can link what they're doing through play to how valuable what they're learning will be when they go out into the real world. Now let's consider the ROI of play, and this was an interesting one for me, and as I sat down and started to think about it, we believe that playful learning is essential to a child's development. So measuring return on investment for us is pretty complex. It includes the learning gains made by the students, the cultivation of lifelong learning, so it's sustainable, and how many lives are changed through the development of enduring physical, intellectual, social, emotional, and creative skills. It's hard to quantify, but there's reach and impact within that. We focus on solving the problems, however, of the educators, because before the end user, the student, the educator is going to have issues, such as encouraging student engagement and retention, and cultivating positive cognitive and behavioral skill sets. and encouraging learners to be lifelong learners. So have we succeeded in improving the lives of learners? Study after study conducted by independent researchers show that we're moving in the right direction. Findings presented at the 2011 World Conference in Educational Media and Technology showed that students learn science concepts better using LEGO Education Mindstorms Robotics than a control group. Another study published in the Academic Journal of Early Development, Childhood Development and Care found that preschool students using LEGO bricks, and this was a relatively long-term study, perform better in mathematics when these preschool students reach middle and high school. We also have testimonials from students and teachers alike, and sometimes I just like to read a quote, who have personally experienced hands-on, minds-on learning. So, quote, "LEGO made my brain even more inquisitive and taught me about gumption and patience and helped me to be creative." Now, that's an adult talking about their experiences in the past, not a child saying gumption. And they reflected using LEGO bricks in the classroom. He continued by saying, "These things matter in life, and it was fun." So there's something about engagement there. Back to the subject of recess, which I started at the front end, and one of the folks in my office sent me over an article. The fact is, the American Academy of Pediatrics says that recess is a crucial and necessary component of a child's development. But the article I got was around Eagle Mountain Elementary in Fort Worth, Texas. Anybody heard of them? So they've gone to 4 recesses a day. And teachers and research are reporting off that not only are the students paying better attention in class, they're following direction better, attempting to learn more independently, solve problems on their own, and they have fewer disciplinary issues because they're going to 4 15-minute, but some only get 15 or 20 per day anyway. 4 15-minute recesses. And look it up. I thought there's a lot there that I think we can learn from. So experiencing what is offered in the real-world classroom situations, like I talked about, robust independent research, we talked about it a little bit earlier, you have to have it when you're selling to educators. When we're working with folks who are thinking about how your children are going to succeed in life, I have to be able to go say, yes, I've been to 530 classrooms to launch my Story Starter, which is one of the ranges we have. But also the personal testimonials. I think you need to be able to be out there and own those testimonials and be out with the teachers or other folks that are your end users so you can play with them or even sit with them while they play. But doing all this and accomplishing playful learning is a fact. I think we're going to develop the future for these students and the world in which they inhabit. So we've been committed over 35 years to delivering playful learning experiences. We believe bringing subjects to life in the classroom and making education fun and impactful at the core is about becoming lifelong learners, and play can do that because it becomes visceral, it becomes part of you. You want to learn because of play. So thinking creatively, reasoning systematically, and being more collaborative and releasing one's own potential helps one to shape their own futures. And what they're able to accomplish because of these skills they have developed through play shows the true ROI of play, in my belief. So let's do all we can to help the students of today, through play, become the innovators of tomorrow. Thank you very much. Is it okay? Love to take some questions if anybody wants to talk about it. There's such a great red thread through this conference. I'd like to help that red thread stay connected. Someone right back here. And perhaps there's one over here.
Hi, thank you. That was a great talk. I'm a big fan of the open-ended possibilities of Lego and what it represents.
Yes.
And so I have a question about the other side of Lego that is often maybe the side that children get exposed to when they're not working through Lego education,
Yes.
which is more sets and sort of a bifurcation. There's some girls' friends and there's boy toys for Star Wars, etc. Without going deep into that, what does Lego, maybe the product part, learn? Do they get to learn from you? Do they take the lessons learned from Lego education and get to apply them? Do you get to speak to each other? Because I think what you do with the open-ended work is fantastic, and I just want to know how does it impact the other side?
Well, I worked on the other side for a number of years. I'm 16 years with Lego and about 3.5 years with Lego education, and I'm going to take this back to year 2000, and a reporter asked me, wait a second, you're creating a story around this product, and then they're going to build what you have in the story. Where's the open-ended creativity? How are you? You're giving them the answers. I said, precisely. Like when my daughter read Harry Potter and she started getting interested in creative writing. I should have just restricted her use of the book and just said, write. We are a catalyst for play. And the kids need the eyes on the first brick in the duck just as much. And if you work with children, because this is a universal question, you're giving us the answer. But if you go and play with your children in a classroom or in your own home, you find that they take everything apart and build exactly what they want, but they've learned techniques. They've learned how you can build structural integrity and engineering principles, all because they built something that was related to, let's say, a city, and that was a pre-built instruction. So from that perspective, even in Lego education, we often use something that's a story starter. We just don't use intellectual properties and that kind of thing. But the universal appeal that you got to give someone a little bit of a catalyst and a starting point in order for them then to be a free user. You don't just give, molten steel to a welder, right? there's something in between to make sure it happens. And I think it's a great question, but it's also a little bit more about thinking about how children learn. They need the catalyst first. And, oh, by the way, what we do in Lego is fantastic because on Christmas morning, there's something there to build for the afternoon and then rebuild. What we do in Lego education is we have to satisfy 28 children in a classroom, and we do try to learn across. So the answer to the question is, we absolutely learn across, but we use the same principle that you have to have some ideas in order to be a catalyst to create that learning using manipulatives in many cases. Is that fair enough? Okay, it's a great question.
There's no mic. I'll just talk. Oh,
that's all right.
Aha, there's suddenly a mic. Thank you. I wonder, what would you say to the educator who says, Minecraft, I can scale it out.
Yeah.
It's easy, it's quick.
Yeah.
What's your response?
Okay, so first off, Minecraft's fantastic. This whole conversation I just had could be about using diversified learning and any sorts of creation that you can so that kids can learn and students can learn better. I'm a big fan of Minecraft. In fact, we make Minecraft sets as well to create that linkage because there was a demand from the Minecraft community that we want to build through. But in diversified learning, it can come through only digital. It could come through only a physical environment and a tactile or kinesthetic learning, and I think that's effective. But we have an issue. We know, I'm just going to use an example, we know that students in third grade, we can test through their statistics. If they're in third grade and their absenteeisms and their test scores, we can do research to show how many high schools you need because you can predict the dropout rate later. And you could also, frankly, if you're predicting the number of high schools they're going to be because of the dropout rate in your area, you can also predict the number of prisons that might be required. Okay. When they ask those students why they drop out later in life, and if we can do it, if we can bring it back to first through fifth grade, first through eighth grade, they said, the reason I dropped out is I was bored. So we need to make sure we're offering engagement at a very young age so that 9 days of absences becomes 4. We change the statistics, we build more schools, and we have more lifelong learners. And the answer to your question is, it takes a diversified learning approach. There's all sorts of ways to get there. But we love digital creation, and we are doing that through our range of products, but we also encourage the use of things like Minecraft because it's so fantastic. Also such a great social experience. The child can actually, if you allow it with friends, they can talk to 6 or 7 people at the same time and build, and there's kids from all over the world. So really, really good example.
Hi. I'd like to link the 2 panels, the one before and yours. I just wonder, what have you found, because Lego is so global, where are the distinctions globally? Do you find different kinds of patterns of play along that spectrum?
Yeah, when you first said distinctions, I was thinking a little bit more about parents.
Yeah,
and that would be
too.
the starting point. The Chinese parent that we have to show, we have to think about our messaging in quite a different way than the American parent or the Brazilian parent, for example. And then that comes down to using great localized partners, but also understanding local research as well. But the way kids play, I think that the biggest distinction I find is amount of time that they're allotted, and then in school or out of school. For example, in the German environment, although a lot of our preschool products allow for counting and even STEM skills and 21st century learning when you're 4, because that's important to the American preschool, and especially with the pre-K push we have right now. In Germany, they really want to make sure it's not structured at all in preschool. Their play has to be very open-ended. But we still have the bricks, and that's the universal truth. But then we have to think a little bit about the use. And then finally, because I'm in education, we work with teachers, we hire teachers, and we work across the globe and make sure that we're staying very close to what's required in the curriculum. So not so much on the play side, but also on the learning side.
Thank you.
I've been given the universal signal. Thank you very much for your time today.